Greetings and thank you for joining us at FutureMoneyTrends.com. I have one of my favorite guests. In fact, one of the guys, I would say, reading Harry Dent's book in the early 2000s and reading Peter Schiff's book. I know these two don't agree on the outcomes, but I would say really Harry Dent awoke me up to a lot of things that are going on in macroeconomics. And, he's a Harvard economist, best-selling author. I just finished his book, The Sale of a Lifetime, How the Great Bubble Burst of 2017 Can Make You Rich. Now, Harry Dent is going to tell you some things that are backed by an unbelievable amount of research. This is, right here, the top cycle, top wave analyst when it comes to the spending waves, the peak spending habits of people, the research they've done. There really is no second. It's Harry Dent's research. That's who people use. In fact, even people who don't give him credit, I know where those charts come from because I read Harry's stuff. So want to just really encourage everybody to make sure you go out and buy the book. We'll have a link to his website as well. This is definitely somebody you want to be listening to, even if you have a disagreement with him, because he has some very bold calls here that many people might not like. But his research, it doesn't get any better. Harry Dent, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, nice to be here, Daniel.
Harry, let's start off with the book. I just finished it. It's a great book, one of your best books. The Sale of a Lifetime, How the Great Bubble Burst of 2017 Can Make You Rich. I wanted to get an update from you on the book itself. You made some big calls for 2016 and 2017, and I just want to know, since writing it and since it's been published, is there any changes you'd like to or updates you'd like to just note?
Well, we see this bubble that is the third bubble in the United States in stocks and financial assets. And this third bubble has been totally artificially created by quantitative easing. Free money, zero interest rates, and now negative in most countries. This is an artificial bubble. We predicted back in the late 80s that Japan would collapse due to demographic trends, but the United States and Europe and most of the rest of the world would have the greatest boom in history. Nobody predicted that. But that's just demographics. The demographic trends in the United States peaked in late 2007, as we forecast, and ever since we've had endless quantitative easing to just print money, to make people feel richer, to goose up the stock markets, and this is not going to last. So we're saying in this book that we're near the end of this artificial bubble in stocks and in everything else. Real estate's bounced back and stuff. And we're going to see a bigger crash when this artificial bubble finally failed. And so you need to be very sensitive about your holdings of any financial assets outside of the most conservative bonds or cash. Everything's going to go down like it did in 2008 and 9. Stocks, commodities, real estate, everything's going to go down again, and the next crash is going to be worse. So that's our view. This is a once-in-a-lifetime. And literally, once in a lifetime, back to the 1930s before we saw a major debt and financial asset bubble burst. And it was very painful when it happened for all financial assets outside of high-quality bonds and for unemployment, business failures, bank failures, everything. That's what we're looking at. And nobody sees this. The more I talk in the media about this bubble bursting, people say, oh, Harry, you're crazy. I'm like, no, you're crazy. This is the greatest bubble in history.
Welcome to Crash Concepts, where the economy, energy, and the environment are explored. Up next, fresh ideas and insights into the factors that are driving the world and shaping your future. Presenting information you can't afford to live without, here's Chris Martinson.
Welcome to this Peak Prosperity Podcast. It's January.
We're going to talk to Harry Dent and his book, The Sale of a Lifetime, How the Great Bubble Burst of 2017 Can Make You Rich. Hey, I'd like to know that because that's about next year be right on my timeline to get rich. So I'm interested in talking to Harry about this. And of course, he's been known as the demographics guy, but he's talking about something else in this book. He's focusing really on bubbles. Joining us now is Harry Dent. Welcome, Harry.
Nice to be here, David.
You know, when we talk about bubbles, the first thing I think about, for some,
Do you believe in free speech? Do you believe that people should be judged?
What is your global approximation of the state of the planet right now?
Well, number one, this is what it looked like back in the late 80s. Japan was the up-and-comer. Everybody thought they were going to surpass the United States and take over the world. And we said, no, Japan's going to have the greatest crash in history for the next decade. And the U.S. and Europe were going to do better than ever in the 1990s. So we're looking at demographics. We're looking at something economists don't understand. And we have the same thing with China today. China workforce is the only emerging country in the world that already has a declining workforce, and it declines even faster about 8 years from now, and they end up looking more like Japan. So China's near the top of its game. China's also overinvested, overexpanded more than any country in history by a mile. They've got so many empty condos and houses and office buildings and malls and railways and everything. China has the most extreme debt rise in the last decade. China is getting ready to blow. China's not going to be telling anybody what to do. They're going to be cleaning up their mess next decade. And by the time they do, their demographics are going to be failing even faster. So,
In fact, there's the headline: the world's most populous country, China, is turning gray.
yeah, I mean, this was the case for Japan back then. But
And they're having a brain drain too, aren't they?
yeah, what's that?
A brain drain.
Yeah, I mean, well, people are the most affluent, richest people are leaving the country and are getting their cash out as fast as possible. They don't trust their top-down government. They don't trust this bubble.